Good morning and welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network, and today's topic is endings and new beginnings. And it's New Year's Eve of 2024. And what a year it's been, and what a year it's going to be. Uh, it seems we're in a time of accelerated change, and lots is on the horizon. And we can take this opportunity where there's a collective sense of endings and new beginnings to really embrace the opportunity for a reset. So that's what we're going to talk about. But before we get started, let's take a minute or two to get present. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, all your organs, bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale, exhale any tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant, bright light lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, and energizing all your cells, your molecules, your electrons, creating a brilliant beam of light and energy from your heart out into the world. And as you exhale, exhale any remaining tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's press our palms together. Vigorously rub your hands together to feel the friction, the temperature, the pressure, the motion, the tickling and tingling when you stop, and allow all those sensations to bring you present right here, right now, into this remarkable physical form that enables us to experience life. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, New Year's Eve. So this isn't a conversation today about resolutions, because we know that resolutions are often quite ill-fated. It's funny, I've seen an uptick of all kinds of ads and such about weight loss, or that seems to be one of the major resolutions for people in the coming year. I'm going to be more fit. I'm going to eat better. I'm going to exercise more. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to buckle down to business. I'm gonna, lots of I'm gonnas. And I think that this is a window that it's, albeit a manufactured window, a socially engineered window, so to speak, of endings and new beginnings. And I think, good morning, Jennifer. Welcome. So great to have you here with us this morning. Happy almost New Year. We're talking about endings and new beginnings. So I think this is a really good opportunity for a reset. And the reset is, it is culturally engineered. You know, lots and lots of people are doing this at this time of year. And thank you, Jennifer says Happy New Year. So the thing that we're looking at is, how can we utilize this kind of collective zeitgeist to empower and power us in our closing of one chapter and opening of another? And admittedly, we can do this kind of reset at any moment. We don't need to wait for New Year's to do it. We don't need to wait for an equinox or a solstice or any particular, or a birthday or any particular holiday to make certain kinds of awareness, to engage in certain introspection or awareness. But when there's this cultural momentum for it, I think it helps to feed the energy for us in whatever kinds of determinations or awarenesses and observations we make. And we could go into the new year just celebrating. Lots of people do that. And alongside that, or maybe even instead of that, we can take a look at what has the past year brought. And I'm thinking about this past year for myself. Actually, it really hadn't occurred to me some of the things that this past year brought that were milestones. And I think it's beneficial to look at what were the peaks and valleys, what were the indicators of our growth, what changed, what emerged, what fell away, what losses did we experience in people or in our day-to-day, what gains, and recognizing that the lens of loss and gain is very personal and isn't like, if we look at the losses, maybe there's a way where we can reconceptualize those losses to recognize, even in the losses, the gifts that there may have been, even if it's celebrating someone that we lost who's very dear to us. There's an opportunity to be celebrating them, to be evolving the relationship, even with people who have passed. And I know it's a bittersweet time of year to take that kind of reckoning. It's bittersweet because there are losses and there are triumphs, and or things that we experience as loss or things we experience as triumph. And so I think looking at all of that opens the door for us to have a different relationship with life in this moment and going forward, to be able to really appreciate all the richness of what life offers. And it's not always a pretty picture. The most interesting and compelling of pictures often have elements that may be terrible to them. And it's in the contrast. It's in the yin and the yang that there is this dynamism, this dynamic flow and experience of life. And I invite you really, and myself as well, this is a reminder to me too, to take some time to look back at the year. I'm not a big fan of looking back in order to go forward. And we can take a moment to celebrate our growth, our new awarenesses, the richness of our lives, wherever we are, whatever our circumstances, even when things don't look great. We do have an opportunity to find things worthy of celebration. Again, this goes to the lens that we choose. But if we start looking for things that were great, we're going to find things. If we're intent upon that, if we look for things that were terrible, we're going to find things if we're intent on that. And so what in this past year, what markers can you identify for growth, where you've really grown, where you've moved past some of your discomforts to step into being a broader expression of yourself? So the questions that we ask really are a definer for our experience, So I invite you to ask really empowering questions about this past year. Like, where did I grow? What was an extraordinary thing or three extraordinary things that happened during this time? What doors opened? And what doors closed that gave me a sigh of relief? What highs and lows, and with the lows, what can I discover in those lows that can further me in my deepest intentions? In other words, what can I learn? How can I create an opportunity even from those moments that were painful? So it's kind of exciting to look back. I mean, one of the ways that we can do that is to look at our calendars and see not just what we've done. It's not limited in any way to what we've done or what we've accomplished in a material sense, but what were the learnings? What were the gifts? What was the experience of life? Good morning, Sue. Hi, so good to have you joining us this morning. Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year to everybody who's joining us. We're talking about endings and new beginnings, and really embracing the richness of life by this backward look, rather than getting stuck in the past, which is something that's very all too easy to do. We're just looking back to say, wow, let's look at the movement. So the questions to ask, we want to be deliberate in the questions, such as what occurred that is moving me into greater fulfillment of the expression of my soul and my purpose, my vitality. What occurred that moved me toward that? And if it feels like, and I imagine that it could for many of us, feel like, no, it was a terrible year. Even in a terrible year, even if there's been incredible hardship and strife and what looks like setbacks, even in the context of that, we can look and say, what can I farm from this? What can I discover in this that will help feed life, that will help feed my greater intentions? Because it's an opportunity for a reset. So even if we've been in a downward spiral, we have the opportunity to ask questions like, how can I utilize this in service to my higher intentions? How can I bring greater vitality, life, fulfillment through these circumstances? How can I perceive this differently in such a way that I can start to experience and recognize the gift in it? So we have these opportunities at any moment, right? It's just that New Year's, holidays, birthdays, things like that, these markers have a greater collective energy about them. And I think another valuable, that collective energy can help to power our intentions. And I think another valuable question is, what new choices can I make? Or what choices can I make going forward, and create not a resolution or a goal necessarily, but an intention to start generating a field, a context, a container for what we would like to move into, what we are becoming. That's what we want to be discussing, is what is our becoming? Good morning, Rosalind. How great to have you here with us this morning. Rosalind says, Happy New Year. The self-talk is a bit kinder, less triggered, and a stronger knowing of spirit connection. Rosalind, that is magnificent. Thank you so much for sharing. I invite everybody to share in this conversation. Like, what are you noticing in the past year? What kind of personal evolution has emerged that maybe you didn't recognize until this moment of retrospection? To look back, I can say that I personally, I feel like I've deepened into a sense of peace and a deeper connection with life and flow, like allowing life to flow without resisting and fighting and grappling. And that's been a huge relief, to just let things unfold more gracefully while I have my intentions. So it's kind of like allowing oneself to use the momentum of the tide to go where I want to go. And I'm sure that if you look in your lives over the past year, you'll see transitions, even through rocky times. And I think that when we have difficult times, we tend to get fixated on them, and we tend to steep ourselves in the pain of them, and not and allow that pain to radiate and magnify. And the thing is that we do that often through our stories. And I'm inviting everybody to look at where the pain wasn't there. So, having had many years of experience in deep, deep depression, I can say that the way that I would characterize myself is that I was depressed in that time, and beyond depressed. And the thing is that during that time, I didn't recognize the fact that it wasn't every moment, that there were moments of joy, there were moments of peace. And what happened was that I would magnify the depression to sort of cancel out the goodness. And that's because I had this mindset of, I'm depressed. And so all the goodness that would come along, it would get dismissed or forgotten. And so that's why I'm inviting everybody in, even if it was a really difficult year, to source those places of grace also, and to create a more realistic, a more balanced view of what occurred. It's the glass half empty or glass half full. It's the same glass, and it has fullness and it has emptiness in it. And that's what I'm talking about in terms of this retrospective, that we look at the year and see, not say overall, well, column A, column B, it was a good year or it was a bad year. It was a year. It was a year. And all kinds of things happened during that year. And so the question is, what are we going to do with that? How can we utilize that awareness in a way that's going to empower us and embolden us into our greater expression in the coming year? And again, recognizing it's an arbitrary delineation, but we can utilize the collective energy around that to power our intentions. And the beauty of intentions, as opposed to resolutions or goals, is, to me anyway, they're more forgiving in allowing us to stray and then recommit, redirect ourselves, recalibrate. And if we choose to allow it, there's so much energy that we can access in this moment to create a reset, to say, okay, I get a do-over kind of thing. And not even just a do-over, but a energized opportunity to just start something new, to recreate aspects of ourselves, to acknowledge the triumphs, tragedies, and to close the chapter on the previous year, to allow it to be complete, and then to start anew. And admittedly, again, we can do that at any time, at any moment, but this is a culturally engineered opportunity to do that with momentum from a lot of other people. So why not? Why not take this as an opportunity to direct your dreams, to choose to step into a higher expression of ourselves, and to be creating that field that supports us in doing that. Setting an intention that is aligned with who we are, and then kind of letting it go, setting it with open hands. So we don't want to be gripping and grasping at whatever these intentions are, or whatever our vision is. Let's hold it in our heart and hold it in our open hand, so that we can flow with whatever opportunities present themselves. And part of that, not a minor part of that, is being willing and able to step outside of our ideas of who we are, how we think things should be, or fighting against how we think things should be, and to connect more deeply with that inner alignment, that inner voice, that inner guidance that really can take us to the fulfillment of those intentions. And in likelihood, it's the source of those intentions. At least when we source our intentions from that place, that's when miracles happen, when the universe supports us in fulfillment of our highest dreams and potentials. So I invite you coming into this new year to utilize this transitional energy. Utilize it to give you the momentum to move into greater expression of your desires, of your soul, of your purpose. And so, hello, Shosha, welcome. Happy New Year. We're just wrapping up with wishes for our greater fulfillment in the coming year, for finding greater flow in life and finding greater love in our hearts and connection, and to enjoy the ride, bumpy or not, just to find a way to be present to the richness of life on all its many dimensions. So that's it for today. Happy, happy, happy New Year. And even if it isn't happy, may it be rich and fulfilling. And I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection. I go live here each weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page and YouTube channel. And I invite you to please like, follow, and share Enlightened World Network and me. The links are in the description. And it's such a privilege and a pleasure. I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to share this time with you for our morning musings.